Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and in this video we have decided to just totally reconstruct this, build our own, be done with it, make it the way I want it to be. So this here was a top that I had taken off of another air compressor that was given to me that ended up being the tank wasn't safe. So I got rid of it. So, but I kept, if I can get the camera right here. So I took this piece off of another air compressor, and it's really solid. It's actually twice as thick as this one is anyway. I don't want an upright, so I want one that's horizontal. And I've got everything here I need to make this what I want it to be. So, yes, the stickers are going to go. Although having the word sideways like that doesn't look all that bad. But basically I'm just turning it over on its side. That'll square it up to where the hole that was on the top on the side is now on the bottom, and that's where my drain petcock's going to be. We're going to put a tube that brings it out so we can have the petcock outside here, so we ain't got to fumble with a pair of pliers underneath a tight area about that wide. Then we will run the inlet from the pump to the tank to where it normally went, with the minor exception we'll have an elbow to elbow that up, and then the line will go from the pump right straight down to that, and the switch will go exactly where it was. So I don't know, I might change where that switch is. It wouldn't be hard to do, but I think it'll work out pretty nice. So I'll weld this piece to the top of it and cut this piece here off. So then we got to cut the legs off, and then I got to build another set of legs. But the legs that I make, actually it'd be nice if I had one more of these. I do have a tank that I could probably cut up and get the legs off of it, but I believe I could probably make a set. So I want to make a set so that I can incorporate an axle. I want to put an axle on one end of it, and I want to put a removable tongue on the front. So that way if I ever want to pull it with my four-wheeler, I can. Or if I want to back it up into a trailer if I ever move. You know, I got mobility. So it doesn't require 100 men to move it. So we're going to try to make this move ready, or needing to move it ready. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pipe out, and then I'm going to cut this piece off. So I'm going to try to do it in a way to where I don't cut into the tank, so that when I flatten it all out, you'll never know that it was even there by the time I paint it. So now we're going to take and cut these wheels right there, and hope we do it in a way that we don't actually dig into the round part. So we're probably going to have to reshape these, because I actually plan to take this and repurpose it for the tank. So basically what I'm going to do is, once I get this off, I'm going to split this thing clear in half, and then I'm going to split each one of them long ways in half. Those are going to be my feet that I turn around and put up against the bottom of this to mount other feet to. So we hope that's the way this is going to work. These might not be deep enough to do that. But anyway, let's go ahead and cut that off. I can still hear everything ringing inside there. Y'all hear it? Alright, so now I just need to take and flatten it down, make it look like it was never there. Alright, so now this hole here is going to be facing down. So it's the only way we can make it a horizontal is to make this down. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, it means the plate's going to be down here. Now I could probably move that plate, which actually ain't a bad idea. So I'll probably move that plate. So I'll just take and cut these welds off right here. And then I'll just take and drill me 4 holes in it, and then drill me some holes in the tank there and pop rivet it to the tank. I'll let that set in for a minute. Then I'll probably just take and cut a 45 on each one of those and then grind that down flat, and then I can take and just re-spot weld it somewhere else. So this is now going to be the bottom, and this is going to be the side. So now we need to figure out where our stand is going to be, and I haven't decided what I want to do yet as far as height wise, because I would like to have a little bit more room between. Let me put this down and we'll tell you what I'm talking about. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put this down. I gotta put some blocks under it to block it up. So we know that that's going to be level. Because these 2 holes over here on this side are facing horizontally. And the drain is on the bottom. So now we can put our new plate on it. But before I do that, I got to take and straighten that up a little bit with the grinder from where I cut it off with the other one, and just kind of chamfer the edges of it. And then I got to clean some grease and stuff out from under it. So I'll clean that up and we'll be back. Alright guys, we got it cleaned up. Got all the flat parts flat. So now we want it to be this way and in the center. And So we're going to put that in the center of that right there. And then we're just going to weld it here, here, and here on both sides. But we want to make sure we level this thing first. Because we know that it's right, because I had it measured and everything with the size blocks I needed to make sure that it's level, so that when I got to this point, I'd be able to just stick a level on that and be done with it. Well, I can't find my level, so we're going to use that. Of course, it helped if I clean it off a little bit so I can see the bubble. Alright, so that's level. Now we need to figure out where we want this. That's 1 3/4 inches. 1.5 inches, so we need to go that way, 1/8 inch. Should be there and right there. Alright, so now it's a matter of welding her up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the grinder with the disc, and we're just going to scratch that up a little bit everywhere I'm going to weld. Alright, so now I've got those cleaned up to where it's going to get a nice solid weld. I've got it side to side correct. There's 1 inch and whatever. It's between 1 3/4 and 1.5 inches. So you figure it out, 7/16 or 7/8 or something like that. Anyway, I can't think right now. But because I got this much on my welder, I might be able to get a little closer by sliding this out. But that's about all I'm going to get, because my cord's not very damn long. So what I'm going to have to do is weld the 2 center ones from here and here, then weld these 2, and then turn it and weld the other 2. It sucks. I need to put a longer wire on this, and I've been meaning to do it. I just haven't found the right wire to do it with. The question is my ground going to reach also? That'll work. So we got the ground. So now we need to move all these gas cans out of our way. But we don't need to make life hard. So let's see if we can weld this without any problems. And we're going to use, see if I can get these rods without that being a pain. Everything's always in the way. We're going to use these, if I can remember what, 6011s. And we're using a Harbor Freight stick and TIG welder. So let's just hope that I get some nice looking welds. I hate welding, man, because I always get nasty looking welds. They're never nice and pretty and laying on top of each other like they're supposed to. So I want to check it over, make sure that I see one problem we may have, and I'm wondering if I shouldn't address that before I put this on. I'm wondering if I shouldn't go ahead and drill. Oh, I might have almost messed up. I want to make sure that that pump is going to mount in them same holes. By God, that looks like that'll work just fine right there. But we're going to have to drill for this size bolt pattern. Two of these will line up. I just got to make two extra ones back here. So we're going to put bolts in these, and we're probably going to use 3/8 bolts. So let me find 4 3/8 bolts and nuts, and I'm going to weld the nut to the bottom side of that so that them holes are then threaded on all of them. So let me get my stuff together and we'll address this issue. The motor, however, is not going to be too big of an issue because it's got slides in it that you can slide nuts in these two. These two are open, but you can get a wrench in there to tighten up a bolt and pair, which is probably going to be up here in this one anyway. Because you can pull that motor all the way back, put these bolts in, and then just slide it up and reach a wrench in there to undo it. I've thought about, I might have to extend this and make it a little taller, but I don't think I'm going to have to because this right here's got plenty of clearance. And let's see where the motor's going to land. We may have to modify that. Well, I'm sure we're going to have to modify that. That base was actually for that motor right there. That big old monster right there. That's what was mounted to this base. Look at the difference. We could put 2 motors on it. Now I could probably put 2 pumps on there. Have to have a 12 horsepower motor to run them both. But let's get the belt. Alright, so that's not going to work. I mean, I'd have to get another belt. Let me see if I got another belt. Alright guys, so basically what we're going to have to do, because I want to continue to use that belt, because there ain't nothing wrong with that belt. So we're going to bring this pump this way. Let's see, wait a minute. I might need to turn it around in the opposite direction. Because I want this outlet to be closest to this hole right here so that I can run just a straight line down to it. So we're probably going to have to reverse this to this side. And that'll still work. belt back on it. And I would like to also make a double pulley. I may even have a double pulley. So we're going to bring that to right there. Alright, so we'll put that right there, just like that. Then we're going to have to drill a whole new set of holes. Because I'm trying to use the same belt. And I'm going to make a double pulley for this. For the motor. That way I can put two belts on it. So, but for now I can just use this one. And this way everything seems to be a little centered there, so let's pull it a little bit further. I think I can center it a little bit better. Of course, I still want to try to keep as close to this so I can just run a line down to here. So we're going to have to stay away from that block a little bit. So I think right there will work. I'm wondering if I could bring it in a little bit further. Put it right at the edge where it starts to round over here. That way, because this has got a little dinky ass mount on it. So I'm going to have to re-drill to put bolts in it and tap them. And then weld nuts to the bottom of it. So that looks like it's I don't like it. It's going to land where I don't want it to land, right in that frickin' hole. So I may have to rethink this. I wonder if I could just reverse the motor and the pump and then put this to this side and the switch to that side. Alright, let's try that orientation. Because I don't want to weld this on and then have to figure out a way to mount something. Actually, that might work better. Because I have two slots here that I can have to adjust. Who knows, maybe I can mount the motor permanent and make this adjustable. Well, that works a little better. It still lands on a frickin' hole. I may have to remove this plate, or this big steel thing here. Daggone it. No matter where I put that, it lands on a hole. What I'm talking about here, what I'm trying to stop from happening is, you see this one? It's not landing anywhere I can put a bolt. So, either I'm gonna have to plate that with a, or make a bigger mount. You know what? I'm just gonna mount a bigger mount. I'll just find me a piece of steel plate. And somebody is burning my Facebook up tonight. Here it is, 1:43 in the morning. Yes, I'm a late owl. But I think I'm gonna stop on this tonight and pick this back up tomorrow. So this is gonna be another one of them 2-day videos. So, but before I weld that down, turn my welder off. I'm just glad I thought of that. I may have to make a plate. I should have some plate steel around here that's big enough. I could use this right here as a plate and just mount another plate on the bottom of this. And just weld a bigger plate on it. That's what I'll do. I'll weld a bigger plate on it. Actually, I'll probably bolt it on simply because I don't really want to be welding on this motor. You don't know what the weld will do to arc any of the contacts inside that motor. And chances are probably slim to none, but I can't afford to take that chance. So I don't really want to be welding on that motor frame. I don't know what I had that on. That's where I had my DRO stuck to it on the bench. See, it's going to get repurposed already. So we'll pick this up. I'm kind of out of breath tonight. I feel like I'm freaking dying of air. Breathing hard tonight. I don't get a whole lot of sleep, guys. I had that big motor on there, but I'm not sure I know how to wire that thing. I don't understand it. I might investigate that. I might use that motor, but I don't know what size that is. It might only be a 2 horsepower motor, so if it is, that ain't gonna happen. So I may not even have to cut that at all. I may just be able to put that plate on there just like that. Yeah, that'll work right there. And I can, pretty sure I'm past the hole. So let's see. Yep, I'm past the hole where I can put a hole there to drill, put a hole there. I may just make the pump adjustable back and forth. Wouldn't that be interesting? Never had one that had the pump that done that. But I'd rather make the motor adjust. But anyway, I'm tired tonight, so we'll pick this up tomorrow, but for you guys, it'll be like right now. This is part 3 or 2 of the air compressor build, and I've come a long way. Now, I have still yet to weld this down, because I found that I needed to address a few other issues first. Because I still need access to the bottom of this, and once you weld it on there, your access is gone. So the only place you have access is this little hole right here, and the only bolt I could get in using that hole was this one. I cannot get this one in. So what I've done is I've got it mocked up. This is not permanent. I'm just getting it set up so that once I take it all back apart, I got to start all over to paint the tank and weld that piece on. But right now, the tank is just sitting there level. This is sitting there level, and it's just sitting on the tank with all the weight of this on it, holding it to the tank. I've got blocks on the other side to make sure that it doesn't tilt. And if you put a lot of pressure on it, it will tilt. But my shop is a mess right now. So basically what I had to do was make a pulley out of machining and a pulley I had. This here great old big huge 2 horsepower motor that was originally bolted to that stand, not the tank, but the stand. It has a 1-inch pulley on it. That motor has a 5/8 pulley on it. So I had to machine a bushing for it, and I'll show you that in the next video. So what I did with these bolts, these are 5/16 bolts, and these nuts are going to be welded to the bottom of those plates. So that'll make that hole threaded for this compressor. So because those have 3/8 holes in them, I decided to taper like a lug nut and drilled in the center. That way this self-centers itself. So what I'm doing is bolting it up. I can't do the last one until I get it upside down. I gotta turn it upside down with the pump on it, and or lean it so I can weld these nuts to the bottom of it. So then them holes will be threaded. Then I can take the pump off. But right now I'm just mocking it up to make sure that everything I've got that I need on here is going to be accountable. So right now I just got that setting in there until I'm ready to put it in. And then I took I'll show you here. Don't forget to have your Trump coffee. I am. So I used one of these link belts that I had ordered from my lathe and realized that I had 1/2 inch, not 1/4 inch. Or 5/8. So I'm going to use this 5/8 link belt. And I've got the level there. Right now it's got the belt's pulling the motor, so it's not right. But I've got the marks right where I want to put my holes. So I'm going to put the holes in the middle of this, drill this and tap it for 1/4-20, and put a washer and a 1/4-20 stainless steel bolt there on both sides, and then grind them off on the other side. They'll be flat with the bottom of this. Then I'm going to drill right here, 3/8 hole, a 3/8 hole, another 3/8 hole right there, and another one right there. Those are going to work in the slide that's there. There's 2 slides. You can see the edge of it, one of them right there. And it goes up to about right here. And then it's got a big old hole for you to be able to put a bolt down in it and slide it underneath this part right here. So there's one here, one starting about right here and goes to about right here, So that's where I put my bolts, is in the center of each one of those runs. That way I've got flexibility either way. I'm only going to need to go that way, so that's going to allow me in this direction that much travel. So I had to overhang this plate because they put the bracket on this motor way up front when it should have been in the middle. But they put it up here, probably for rigidity reasons, to get it closer to the pulley. So we have to accommodate for that. So we're just going to make this plate the new motor mount. Then I'm just going to round off the edges, put that on there, cut that off, cut that around, and then this part here gets cut off. As you can see, it says cut. So we'll cut that off, and then we'll chamfer that, chamfer all of it. And that'll make a nice plate. So then all I have to do, I also planned to go down in here and weld a nut right in line with all these slots, both these slots. One right here and one right here. And probably be a 9/16 bolt that we'll have to make out of all thread with an eye mounted or welded to the end of it. And that will go onto this bolt, and then I'll have one for this bolt. So anytime I need to adjust it to pull it this way, that eye is going to be around that bolt, and when I need to pull it this way, I can. And I can adjust it either way. So if I need to twist the motor, I can turn this one in, pull this one out, and it'll twist the motor. So that's what I'm planning on doing, is putting a bolt right here, and I'll probably use whatever I got that's available to me. I got some 3/8 all thread. I don't really think it needs to be that heavy, but if I can get away with it, if I've got some 5/16, maybe we'll use 5/16. It's just whatever I have to my disposal at the moment. I may have a bolt that long. I don't know. Finding one that's fully threaded, that's a little more difficult. So then I'll just run my wire from my motor right down underneath here, feed it through, come over to the other side, and it'll come out here, go around, and go right in here because we're going to change that wire. This one is the incoming wire, which will probably also go through here and come out the other side and come out right here. I don't know yet how I'm going to do that. That's going to be the supply line. I want to try to hide as much wires as possible, so then that way there's only this wire showing, and I can put wire loom cover over it. That's all that'll be showing. Then this will wrap around, and it'll go underneath there. All this stuff's not even tight. It's just in there loosely to get me mocked up. So I'll put another cord on this, and it's got to go to the motor. So then I still got to cut the feet off, and then I got to build a set of feet for it. So that's going to be interesting. So once I cut that off, I've already got this here that's the same size as, it's a 1/4 inch pipe thread. So now I can put my supply going into the shop. This will be going into the shop because I got a hose going out the wall back there, and this here will hook to it. So this is basically going to be the front of the air compressor. So this back here will be against the wall. And I want to build a cage that is the shape of this once it's tight, but about that far from it, all the way around it, the same shape as this, an inch away from this one, and so on. And then I want to attach a screen, probably, if I've got enough. Well, I'm seeing I might not have enough of that. We'll have to find something to work. I thought that was bigger than that. But anyway, you get the idea. I'm going to have to use this bracket here that was welded on this plate originally, and it's threaded. So I can use those to make brackets to come down and hold the bottom, and then another one up here, so I can run both of them right here, bend one up here and over, and this bottom one will just go over, down, and over however far I need to go. So there'll be two brackets mounted to this. And then I'll have to figure out a way to put a bracket back here and a bracket right here. And I'll probably make that bracket come off of these two bolts, which means I may have to make longer bolts. So we'll have a fork bracket here that comes out that will go straight over here with a place to mount the new metal. The outside part, this wall, it's going to be about an inch from this and about a 1/4 inch past the pulley. And that's going to be a aluminum strip that I cut out of some sheets of aluminum that I got, some real thin stuff. And then I got to find something to put on the front for a screen. I was hoping it was going to be that round dotted stuff, but don't look like that's going to happen. So then I went and found all these fittings, and I just so happened to have one of these elbows that had a compression fitting on the bottom of it, because your compression fitting, my buddy told me, that's got to be between the inlet to the tank and the head. So it's got to be between the check valve and the head. So I got lucky and found that. And then I just cleaned all these up. I didn't really want all these frickin' fittings. But I didn't have a 30 degree to put here to run straight down to the inlet. This here is a coupler that's hollowed out and allows for this check valve to work properly. So then I just elbowed off of this, this was what the switch was originally hooked to. This is the original line that came off of this air compressor. This is the original line that come off of this air compressor. And I really didn't do a whole lot of different shaping with it. So basically just traded it from one place to another by mounting the head on the side of the tank instead of the top of the tank. So I cleaned them all up with steel wool, real fine double-aught steel wool and gas. And now it's a matter of painting all these parts. This part's not going to get painted. None of the brass is going to get painted. None of the aluminum is going to get painted. Only the black pipe will be painted the same color as the tank. Anytime you got black pipe, it'll be black. Anytime you got brass, it'll be polished. Aluminum will be polished. All these fittings will be painted flat black. The pump will be painted flat black. The motor will be painted flat black. The tank is going to be semi-gloss. So that's an update from hell, ain't it? Oh, Lord. So all I did was just clean all them parts up. I haven't cleaned the motor up yet. I'm still in the process of mounting it and getting it right. And it's probably going to be some milling to do on that one. I don't know. It might be as simple as just drilling holes. I don't know. We'll find out. So once I get all that mounted and where it's supposed to be, then I can disassemble it and weld that plate, make sure it's re-leveled and square, and then weld that plate on there. I sure would like to raise it a little bit, but lower is better because of gravity. Then I plan to try to make some feet that will actually have an axle. I'm going to put an axle on one side, and then I'm going to put a stand, probably take 2 of these feet and put on the front. So that way I don't need 4 feet, I got 3 feet. So I only need 2. So I'll put 2 of these feet on this side, and then once I've got that where it's supposed to be, then I will lift that up to the same height and make that bracket for the axle. And yes, strapping a level across your flywheel is going to make sure that them 2 pulleys are in line with each other. So now I've got some more of that belt. I don't think I have enough to do this, but I kind of want it to be that far away from it simply because when this thing is going to be tight, it is going to be assured that it's at least half of the belt is touching half, or the belt is touching half of the pulley diameter. The reason for that is that gives you the maximum traction. So we'll see how that belt sounds. On my bandsaw, it don't sound all that great. The lathe has got a little belt noise to it too. So, because I've got that same belt on all 3, or all 2, or both of them. All 2. So, now we don't know if by bouncing this thing around and shipping, we're going to be finding out if it'll run and pump firsthand. You'll be finding out the same time I find out. I've already filled it with oil, and we're just going to hope for the best. I'm hoping all it was just cosmetics, but you know, you don't know what was done inside of it. Hell, there might have been something done wrong at the factory, and that jolt just been enough to destroy it. So we're going to take the stickers off of it, and we're going to repaint it because it's not a magna force no more. It's bison built. It might have some magna force parts in it, but it's got my air compressor, and it's all redesigned. It's basically my air compressor. So still a lot of work to do to it, and this video's gotten way too long. I'm not really going to do anything in this video. I just wanted to show you what I have so far and just give you an update on it. Like I said, none of that stuff is screwed in very tight. It's just there loosely, just to give me an idea of where my pump was going to be, dry fitting everything. So I wanted to put a dryer on this, but it's really not necessary because I have a dryer already and an oiler. So I've got that right there. So I really don't need anything on the tank. I'm hoping that this thing, by the time I get the stands on it, or the feet and the axle, that it's high enough that I have enough room to put an elbow to put a drain pitcock on it. Which means what, find some more 1/4 inch black pipe. Because I'm telling you, that stuff's like gold around here. You never have any. So I got 2 air compressors to build. This one for myself, and as a favor for letting me use it for the time that I used it, I'm just going to build it, cover it up, and leave it there for him when he, if anything ever happens, I move, it's there. So, I don't know what I'm going to use on his. It may very well be that one, the one that came off of mine. I don't know yet. If we can find a flywheel for this new compressor, I'll go ahead and put that on there for him. But he's paying for the plumbing and the flywheel, because I can't afford that flywheel. And it's that big old tapered one. Anyway, I've probably bored you guys enough. Just overlook my mess. And before you say anything, if you don't have a messy shop, that means you're not doing any progress whatsoever. You're a lazy project machinist. So if your shop ain't a mess, then you have no progress. So take that to the bank. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Later.